Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Design Fix. If this is the first time here with me, I just want to give you a very warm welcome and, of course, tell you a little bit about this show. I'm here every other Thursday, and the other Thursday I also share with our lovely and talented Alex Lazaris, and we are here to help you fix any design assets or marketing assets for your business. So, if you are starting up a new business or you're looking to refresh your current business, or maybe you're just looking to get some help for some of the graphics that you need to put out on the internet, maybe social media, you're looking to grow your social media, well, this is the place where you can get 1 hour of free help offered by Adobe Live thanks to Design Fix. So don't forget to submit your application for Design Fix. I'm going to share with you in just a second the link. You should be able also, I don't know if it's on this description right now, but let me go ahead and jump into my screen so I can show you how you can submit your application, because we are open for everybody. This is free for all, and we're here to help you. I want to say hello to everybody. We have the lovely Julia in the chat. Hi, Julia. Hope to see you soon. And then we have RB. What's up? Fergie, nice to see you. Wade, hello. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us in chat here. We have 1 hour together, so also make sure to take advantage of this hour together to ask any question you want. But let's jump into my desktop. So hopefully you can get you can start to have a look at how to submit. So looks like my desktop is looking quite big at the moment. Let me make sure that I can fix that for you in just a second. Let me jump back in here and see real quick a little bit magic of the live and see if I can make sure that you can see the entirety of my screen. By the way, the best way for you to submit your work is head on iamkladi.com/ondesignfix. Here it is. Sorry for the little hiccup there, but we moved past it. So if you go ahead here on iamkladi.com and then either you click on the Design Fix banner or you simply head into Adobe Live Design Fix, you will be able to submit your request. And that's really simple. All you got is a very simple form that you can fill out where you will have to share your email address, your name or your name of the business, a brief description of your brand and your business, and if you have any social media or any account, and what kind of help you're looking to achieve with the Design Fix, and of course any other information and a data consent so we can show your business and of course give you a shout out. Myra, thank you so much for your message and welcome in the chat. Clever, PMAT, RB, thank you so much for joining us here. And of course this stream is also available on a replay, so welcome to everybody that is going to be watching in the future. Okay, so if you're gonna go ahead and send your request, you're gonna end up selected like today's business by Rajul Naik. And the business that we're featuring today is called Slate 68 by Rajul Naik. And is a stationery, a craftsman stationery business. So as you can see, we have a lot of illustration, hand drawing, watercolor, a lot of textures, and of course, a lot of stationery. And I really love this work. I was really, my eyes were really caught by these beautiful colors, these beautiful plants, and how beautiful also the layout of these different print is. It looks like it's a quite a new business from Rajul. So I was really happy to jump in and help and see how we can lift this brand. And by the way, the request from Rajul for his business was to refine the brand. So we're not looking to like a massive change. See, we can see here we have the brand, but maybe some adjustment and some help to make sure that the brand just stands out in the market. And also, of course, some social media, which we're going to jump real quick in Express and also have a look on how to create some social media assets that will display the new brand and will create some buzz around the new social media asset for Rajul. And if you have any question, what programs are we going to use today? So we're going to be using Illustrator and Express. Maybe if we have time, a little bit of Photoshop as well, but mainly Illustrator. We're going to start in Illustrator. Also, we're going to explore the services of Adobe Font and Adobe Color. But in terms of app, we're going to be using Illustrator and Express. Illustrator for the brand and Express for the social media side of things. Again, iamkladi.com/designfix is the place for you to participate. I look forward to see your emails because I'm here ready to help. And another reason why I was so caught into this business and I really, really enjoyed it is also because I'm a massive fan of stationery and paper. I've brought here with me, because I know everybody's, you guys are fan of, inspiration and different ideas, and I know that we're always on the computer and on the app, but I believe there is a little bit of extra value when we share resources. So those are some of the books that I use when I work. Let me see if I can probably go back into my main landing. Those are some of the books that I use for these kind of projects. Let's go ahead and see if I can show you here better. So Nice to Meet You Again is a book from Wiktionary that shows you many different identities of small, medium businesses and of course stationaries, and gives you really nice ideas. I absolutely love it. As you can see, I got my little bookmark going on. The book is from Wiktionary. I collect those books. I got so much stuff for you. Let me know if you want to see more, because I definitely have more things to show you. So Nice to Meet You Again. This is my inspiration that you can see is lovely, lovely stuff. Printed business card and branding for small, medium businesses. And then we have Print Matters. So this is mainly focused on print, always from Wiktionary. I just love them very much. And then you can see here we have many different ways of using print, using color, different product packaging, and so on. So Design Matters, Print Matters, and Nice to Meet You. So this is my little book suggestion here during Design Fix. Those books are amazing resources for you to work, in particular in this case in the stationery business and in the branding as well. I'm just gonna go back and jump into my screen again, and of course with time later on I will show you a little bit more of the examples to give you an idea of the business that we're working with. So here of course we have some information from the Instagram. Of course, as I say, this is quite a startup business. We don't have a website yet. You can make orders through the DM on Instagram, but I wanted to give you an idea also of like the idea of the sort of products that are made with this sort of business. So those, like, you can apply some sort of finishing, and maybe we can talk about that if you're also interested, how to apply finishing, applied and embossed and debossed effect. Let's see if you can actually get to see this one here. So this is like a raised effect on paper, and this will also give you an idea of how different fonts display on paper. So I like to keep all these, in this case those are all letterpressed craft made stationery example that I like to keep here. Look how beautiful is this. And I love this one because you can see all these different fonts and the way they showcase. Anyway, I got more to show you. Looks folders and folder of stuff. We're going to talk about paper as well. Let me know in the chat if you're interested in to see it more. But for now, we're going to jump into Illustrator. So you can see the first version of the logo is here, Slate.68. You can see another version of the logo here with the color palette, which is quite neutral, talks about paper. And if we jump here, oops, I got the reveal already. If we jump here, you can see my little journey into exploring fonts and how do I got from, actually I have no problem to revealing right away that my final proposal. So this is the original logo that was submitted by Rajul, and that was my exploration. So I just kind of like moved into the space of stationery and everything, especially in stationery we're talking about, envelopes and handwriting, and quite a classic traditional. We talk about craftsmanship, we talk about skills. So my exploration started from getting close to what the brand looks like. So serif font, a little more traditional. I kind of loved at the beginning this font, which is called LTC Adriano Pro, because it looked really classic. I love this 68 because it almost looked like it's been illustrated by hand. So that really stole my heart as it is. But because we're not fully doing a rebrand and we're not like starting a logo from scratch, I want to make sure that at least I kept some characteristic of the current logo. So for example, having the all caps, having the dot between the name and the 68. And if you start to bring this LTC Adriano Pro into an all cap, you will see that here we start to incur in way too many details, and the lines start to become a little too wobbly. The serif is very heavy. So I just kind of like fall a little bit out of love with LTC Adriano. By the way, let's move a step backward. Before heading here and starting to use these fonts, if you're looking like, hey Kladi, where are you getting these fonts from? So my first step would be, first of all, to do some research. And that's why I wanted to bring you all these, materials and all this paper, because even here we have like, that's a paper sample from Fedrigoni. This is like a paper that I use for my book. You can see right away, boom, on the top of the page, there is a serif font, not much different. Let me go and bring this back here so we can see the original logo. Not much different from the Slate logo. Can you see? Like we have SIR here. That's Serial, is a collection of paper samples. Welcome to my world here. So those are all papers, and it goes more and more and more and opens up even more. Anyway, so this is a paper collection, again going in the same direction of Slate's Slate 68 brand. And that's one of the reasons why, here it is, you can see even better here with the cereal color, idea there. But in this case, even for the specific brand, which is the Fedrigoni brand, you can see that the actual brand of the paper is got a different feel from the title of the book. And that's what I started to think about, the fact that, yes, this iconic serif font with a little bit of difference between the curves. So, we have difference of weight within the letters, probably recalls the more classical Bodoni. It does represent the old school classical paper printing and craftsmanship, but at the same time is out there quite a lot. So it will be definitely something that we will use and that we recommend in terms of the overall brand system for this particular logo. But I decided to move away from it in terms of the actual branding of the logo mark itself, because otherwise we just kind of, in my opinion, just kind of become blind to it, because it just blends in with everything else that is already out there. Let me see. There's an error in the URL. Enter into your web. I don't know what is going on there. Jason, what's up? Thank you so much for joining. PMAT, are we going to do a makeover from scratch or use some of the current assets? So PMAT, that's a makeover from scratch. So that's the only asset that I have. And I will show you how to get into the full makeover. So Myra is saying, I would love to know more about inspiration from the books. Yes, absolutely. Go ahead and check out Victionary. Those are the one that I use. PMAT is asking, are you going to export with vector graphic format? Yes, we're going to export the logo in a EPS. Actually, that's a great question, PMAT. Thank you so much for it. I will show you at the end, how do we export file for clients? I think, at the end of the day, I'm going to have to give this back to Rajul. So this will give me a great opportunity to be ready and organized. And also, I'm going to show you how to use libraries, because then we're going to jump into Express. So I'll show you how to move into between Illustrator and Adobe Express, and perhaps share the library with Adobe Express as well. And something else that I didn't have the chance to share with you today is also share for review. So we're gonna at the moment Rajul is not live in chat, so I can just show you how I can perhaps start to get a feedback from your client. And let me give you a little bit more, because this is all about giving. It's all about you. Pima, thanks for your question. So yes, we're going to export in .ai, .svg, and .eps. The final logo, we're going to export the colors and so on. And looks like there is no other question in the chat. So perfect, let's keep going here. So first of all, I do some research on the topic, on the market, on the collateral. So, you know, paper, that sort of stuff. And that's why my first catch was like, okay, so it's definitely in the right direction with the serif, but how do I enhance that? How do I elevate this logo? Then the second step for me will be to go onto that font.adobe.com website, and this is the place where I start researching font. You know, as you can see here, the LTC Adriano was the font of the moment. So we have our lovely team at font.adobe.com that is always behind the scene. They're working on sourcing the best font for you. You can have a look at all the different fonts so that are here featured for the day. They are really, really exciting. All sorts of stuff really going on. I really love this gigantic. I'm actually gonna go ahead and make sure that I activate it, because you're definitely going to see me using it pretty soon. We have this mono variable, sort of like monotype or typewriter. Look at this, how cool it is, this ink font. Look, there is so much going on. It's absolutely beautiful. So those are the fonts of the moment, which are trending fonts. But if we go back into the font library, there are also the new releases, so there is a constant update on the font. But most importantly, if you go to all fonts, you will be able to start using the filter. And that was exactly my starting point. So here I started my research by using, you know, serif and sans serif. So here we have filters that will allow us to have classification. And as you can see here, for example, fonts like these also serif variable, they look quite nice. Also, this little icon tells that this is a variable font, so we can really twist it in infinite ways. Pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and select it just for you to have a look at it. If you like this font, or if you like to use a font that you find here, you can also go ahead and activate it directly from the website. And because we are logged in this wonderful Creative Cloud environment, everything is always connected. That means that once we're gonna jump back, just remember the name also serif variable. Maybe I'm just gonna go ahead and copy it. If we jump back into Illustrator, I can now make a copy of this Slate 68. And I'm just going to go ahead here and paste it. And you will see that it most likely has already updated. Here we go. It is also serif is there for us to use. And actually, that's really, really pretty font. That's probably going to start to be in competition with the font that I use, because it's a little bit more thick as well. So maybe I can get your opinion with this, and maybe we'll see if we can do a little poll with this as well to see your opinion as potential customers of this brand. So again, like stuff like that happens. I go on fonts.adobe.com and I'm like, oh my god, this font is literally everything that I've been looking for. Activated, boom, I can go back into Illustrator, Photoshop, or InDesign, whatever app I'm working on, and the font is there available for me to work with. So here we have this serif that, despite being a serif, look how beautiful. So that's like, let's go ahead and see. Despite being a serif, it's still quite nice and subtle. So it doesn't have you know, the same characteristic that we've seen in the other more classical serif, where we have, you know, the one that I call Bodoni style. And by the way, if you don't know, if you've never seen Bodoni, I'm not sure if that's available on fonts.adobe.com. Doesn't look like I have it here. Let me see if I can show you. So Bodoni is like, here it is. So Bodoni is the most classical way of having, let me go ahead and show you the regular Bodoni. You know, the contrast between thickness and thinness. This is literally the classical serif, one of the first serif as well. Let's go ahead and try it. It's quite bold, quite big. It starts to become, you know, quite large. So we tend to lose it, you know, in terms of sizes. And that's why I was trying to stay away with it. So look how much modern is this also, which retains the serif, but at the same time is much, much thinner here. Let's see if we can find a condensed as well. I think perhaps like a condensed semi-bold. Perfect. So I kind of like this font. It's really making a statement by being you know, at the same time, a bit of classical elements and a bit of a modern elements, which is really what I wanted to do here for this brand. I just kind of wanted to elevate it, divide it from the usual classical that has been there over and over, seen within the same industry of stationery, which are either hand-drawn or classical serif font. So I really want to make sure that we make a difference in the market, but at the same time, you know, I'm not going to go for a super big bold font that has got nothing to do with it, like that beautiful, I think it was called Yink. Let me see if I can find it here, which is still a beautiful font, but at the same time it is, yeah, it was called Yint. That's a lovely modern big font, but it got nothing to do with what we're doing here as Slate. You know, this talks about, you know, party, festival, maybe merchandise, maybe clothing, definitely social media. You know, that's a completely different environment, a different industry. So we know right away that as much as we want to push it, we are never going to push into a direction in which it does not represent the business. So we're still going to have something that is more professional, composed, almost look like as if it's engraved, with not as much fluff going on, and is this beautiful, gorgeous ink font, which is definitely, we're going to find another occasion to use because it's very, very beautiful. Pimar is saying, what about the gray background? It looks kind of boring. Yeah, I agree, especially with that sort of cream. It doesn't give enough punch, it doesn't give enough contrast with the gray, so we're definitely going to move on into the gray as well. So I'm just going to go and move forward into the journey. Of course, here you can see some of the stuff that are already done, and I think I got lost in my in the font world, but I wanted to show you something which maybe we can use, maybe not, but I want to show you. When you're at this stage, this is something that I prepared for you a while ago. It's part of my brand bundle, I think it's called. I don't remember what it's called. It's on my website, iamkladi.com/resources. I should be able to pull it out quite quickly here. If you go under resources, you have the branding bundle, and here you have all these sort of documents when you're starting like a branding or refreshing a branding and so on. It's free for you alongside, if you go to the resources, if you've been on my website before, you know that there is so much stuff going on. Everything is for free, connected to episodes of Adobe Live, my previous show, How to Graphic Design. You find a lot of free stuff going on there. The branding bundle in particular is all about branding. So we have branding glossary, a contract to make sure that you get paid when you work with your client, a platform. In this case, you know, we're past this stage because Adobe is offering this hour of work for free. And we have the mood board development. Today we work with the mood boards in the Illustrator Creative Challenge. If you've not seen that, make sure to click on the replay of the challenge that we've done today. And this is the one when we are now, logo development. And as you can see, that's the reason why we're working in Illustrator. Then when we're done, usually I put a comparative stage representation for the client in InDesign. But this logo development is the one that I'm talking about. So after laying foundation, learning about the business, creating a mood board, everything that we already have for this business, is the time to gather all the relevant information, keyword, colors, and sketches and all that into this format here. So you can see here we have inspiration in shapes, and that's where all, you know, perhaps a little picture of this font that I've shown you before, like with the cereal color, you know, that's where stuff like that will land. Inspirational type, and that's where all like my original type and all the also and so on. And here we have our work in progress. Inspiration, more symbols, different typography, and of course the color palette with the different color, require specification, and the positioning. So this is more like the marketing side of things. So this is basically available for you for free from my website. So go ahead and download it if you want. At the moment, I'm just going to work here just because, you know, I just want to make sure that I show you as much as possible, and at the same time I give as much as possible out to our lovely Rajul. So coming from here, the way that I moved forward into, you know, coming away from this classical serif font is to gonna go ahead and experiment into something that was a little bit less serif, a little bit less serif. And I was really looking into, of course, the fonts.adobe.com libraries, trying to having a look now, instead of like, you know, having a serif, what if I just look into wedding? And again, they give me a little bit of the usual fonts that you see in sort of stationery business. I also went into Etsy and searched for stationery and prints, and there are all these floral wreath over and over. So I thought about using that. But the reason why, people come to a designer is definitely not to do what everybody else is doing, but just to reason and to really put our brain juice, our book, our research, and our idea into finding a way in which you can convey the business and what the business does and present it to the world, present it to the customer, but at the same time looking unique and really establishing yourself. So after some research, I went back into a font that is available also on the fonts.adobe.com, but I also found on the Monotype website. And I'm looking on the Monotype website simply because there is a bit of history here behind Din. Din is one of my go-to fonts when I'm struggling and I wanted to find something that is in between, serif and sans serif, but not looking way too modern. Din is from 1451 and is a standard, considered perfect standard typeface for methodical and engineered design. And if you think about printing, old printing machine, maybe letterpress, that's exactly what it is. The industrial feel, that engineering, that machinery coming into place, and that's where the skills, the craftsmanship, the repetitiveness of the action. So you want something that it really looks nice and settled and almost like as if it's already engraved on the page. So this is a little bit of history about Din if you want to learn, and I'm going to present you the font in just a second. Also comes into many different characteristics in terms of thickness and so on, but look at it. It's quite almost looks like, I don't remember what they're called in English, but when you were in school you probably had those little like plastic thing when you can trace the letters. That's what the structure of Din make me think about. I don't know if you have a name in the chat, please do let me know. I'm just looking at the chat. So if you know the name, just let me know. There's just those little thing where you not the one that you can write on it and the letters come through, but the one where you can actually need the pen to go through it. That's what it makes me think about, because it's so neat. The spacing between the letters is so clear, such a beautiful font. And that's when I jumped into it and I thought, you know what, Din might save our life. And that's my first experiment with Din. I didn't think that it looked good, and again I wanted to sort of maintain the same format, because remember, this is a brand refresh. We're not doing it from scratch. Stencil or spirograph, Fergie, I don't know what a spirograph is, probably. If I don't know it, I don't even know it in Italian, to be completely fair with you. But I'm going to show you in a second the way that it looks like when we start. The D of the Din in particular is that's what I'm just going to do a little like A, B, C, D, so you can start to have a look in the actual alphabet and look how clean and beautiful it is. It is modern, it's some serif, but it's still so classical and so well placed, and I think that is very legible. So that's where my Slate 68 came to it. And because I was trying to finding the idea, look at that, there is a lot in the mood board. That's of course from Slate 68 Instagram. There's a lot of paper, and if you think about paper in books, paper in letters or envelopes, all it is about is a rectangle. It doesn't matter if it's an A3, A5, A4, if it's a letter size, standard size, if it's in metric, inches, centimeters, millimeters, whatever you want. All it is at the end of the day is a rectangle. So I really thought that this very simple shape repeats itself over and over again inside each single post and each single product that will come back from Slate 68. And you can see here is my thought process that is behind the birth or rebirth or refresh of the brand Slate 68. So I'm going to bring here the before and after. I'm just gonna make these into like a bigger board so you can have a look. So we moved from a more classical brand, which is totally nailed it in terms of the industry, and we elevated into something that is a little bit more modern, at the same time nice and settled, and representing one of the basic shapes, which is you know, there, just a simple rectangle, no curved corner. We don't want to go that modern, because even something like, you know, starting to curve in the corner on the actual rectangle. So if we actually work with a little corner tool and we start to make something like that, that's already talking about something that is moving away from the classical shape. And at the end of the day, we have the rectangle there to represent paper. Clever saying, "Dear paper, I love you if you're not a rectangle." Yeah, of course, we love paper, absolutely. And that's another reason why probably I should actually jump real quick. I have this little break here talking about the paper. So this was, you know, the original that I was showing you before when I saw the little print. But that's the second step, which we're going to be using inside the social media. So that's was my second inspiration. So as you can see here, I still have some more paper. This is when I meet my client. As you can see, it's all ruined at the moment, and I'm destroying my setup right now. I'm gonna have to go and clean up all the stuff that I have in here. So this was an inspiration both for colors but also for textures. Look how beautiful this paper is. So we have so many textures, so many different colors, and this is definitely something that we can recreate while we work in Adobe Express, because in there we'll be able to look at this lovely marble. See if we can find a way with the lighting to show you. Maybe here we have this lovely marble and lovely color with the paper, and of course those are like all sort of colors. They come depending on the colors, you can find all different textures, but that was my inspiration. So remember that you can find also inspiration offline. Stuff doesn't necessarily need to come from Pinterest or Google or stuff like that. You can simply go ahead and talk with people and people in the industry and get some example. And this is like a big tip that I want to give to everybody that maybe is starting. Let me know in the chat, by the way, if you are maybe if you're a designer, if you're working for yourself, starting your own business as a designer, you know, don't be afraid to go and ask for samples. Don't be afraid to go back into libraries, because that's quite a fantastic way to stand out from the crowd. Anyway, I want to have a everybody's like stencil. Yes, okay. So Dean reminds me of stencils. I love the way that the letters are spaced as well. It just gives me such a beautiful sense of stability, sort of like, you know, timeless beauty. PMAT is asking, where do you get this paper and do they have the color codes? There are so many paper colors, so many paper shops and brands. The one that I used is called Fedrigoni papers, and all papers are originally made in Italy. Probably the worst way of showing you. Let me see if I can find probably something from... I actually received this in my house, which is just outside, but I just received a brand new notebook made with a new paper, which is like a new beautiful white paper, which I don't remember, I apologize. But this is the brand that I use. Is all over the world, is in the US as well. The paper is made in Italy and it's got so many textures, and I have a ton. Like I have some of these binders which are literally just for whites, just for different textures, but it will make your clients happy, and it will really, you know, talking about paper, it will really help you to explore colors. Now, if you're looking to see how did I come out with these colors, well, we're going to do a little bit of a mood board before, but I also want to remind you that you can watch the stream before today. PMAT papers do not have color codes. Usually they have color names. So let me go ahead and see. So for example, this is all Stereo. All this paper collection is called Stereo. And this is like the most vibrant color collection that Fedrigoni has. This is perhaps not the best way of showing you. So colors, this number that you see here, let me see if I can fold this up. So this is the gamma range. So this is like from blue to green. Probably have to go back into the main landing. So if we go here, you can see that we have from blue to green, that of course gets killed by the green screen. And then you have here the paper weight. So this number that you see is usually that are associated with paper. Those are about the weight of the paper. So how much the paper is thick. And then usually papers, and they have names. So each single brand of paper. They will have their own name. What you have to ask to different paper brands is to send their swatches. So you can just find a paper represented. There are many others out in the world that they're there, and all you have to do is to ask for samples. So just send an email, give them a call, and just say, hey, I'm a designer, I'm looking to create some paper design for me, for my clients, and I would love to have mailed over a swatch sample of your paper, and they will send you whatever they have. If you have any specific requests, probably they will ask you what you need it for, and so on. Okay, I officially made a mess here. Let me just go ahead and move this out of the way, otherwise I can't even move the mouse right now. But hopefully that satisfied your question. Keep your question coming, PMAT. I really, really love them. I want to know what you think about this rebrand and refresh. Do you think that it still represents the brand? Because the beauty of using the rectangle also gives me like a frame that I feel the serif font was giving. I just feel that having that sort of support where we can put the Slate 68, it's almost like it's if an establishment. I almost feel like we're establishing the brand. Imagine that can be like a lovely sign outside the door. I think that would look quite nice. So for the color, again, today's stream and today's challenge on the creative challenges, which is also gonna be there for you tomorrow. I'm there for 2 weeks with a creative challenges in Illustrator, was about creating a mood board. So I'm not going to go ahead and spend too much time because you have a full 30 minutes video about it. But the main idea is to make sure that you have your pictures. In this case, those are screenshots from Instagram. The way that you will see that I worked today is, for example, if you want to just make sure that you isolate just a part of your image, we've been working with clipping masks. So by creating shapes on top of your photos, and then selecting your shape and your color. In this case, my shape is quite invisible. Here it is. Let's make it white. So we have a shape that maybe we can put on top of this specific element of the picture or part of the image that you want to show, and then selecting the image and the shape, you can press the Ctrl+7. You will see everything else will be hidden, and you will be left just with the part of the image that you enjoy and that you want to use for your design. Now, the way that I've been picking color for this mood board is simply just by creating rectangles or squares and then selecting it, and then using the eyedropper tool to selecting the color, which I thought they were the most recurring and the one that you use. So we have a lot of reds. So the way that I literally went when I was preparing for this was just selecting the different reds. And again, letter V to select the shape, and then the letter I on your keyboard to select the eyedropper tool. So as you can see here, there is a lot of like oranges and red, and then the other sort of colors that we have here are all the greens. So I can go ahead and select all the different greens that are featured. So we have a little bit more of this aqua in all different sort of forms of shapes. And then of course there was a little bit of this yellow, gold and browns and so on. So this is how I then came into finding this balance palette, which is still pretty earthy, which is this slate color. This gray color was there, but at the same time it really gives you the chance to explore a little bit more. Now perhaps these two colors are quite similar, so maybe you would like to explore and change these or the other into maybe like a blue, or maybe something a little bit lighter as well. So we can also have perhaps something more on these tones. Maybe let's just bring a little bit more blue. So that could be an option as well. So we have a little bit of a change in between a lighter palette and a darker palette. That's oops, let me go ahead and move this away and pick up this color there. So, those are final choices that, of course, Rajuk is going to be, faced with, and depending if he really likes the brand. And, of course, the next step will be to start and creating the actual brand to export in different formats. So this is the brand. I decided to keep it transparent. So if we have any image or any color underneath or any sort of gradient or any other thing, we can just apply whatever color is in the background. This also I'm really excited about that because I thought of an idea of creating like a stamp. That is something that I've done when I've started my business. I wish you guys knew me like about, you know, nearly 10 years ago. When I started my business, I would go to event and I literally had a pen, and that was like something that my grandpa had and then my dad gifted me for my birthday. It's literally like a pen like this. I'm probably going to show it to you tomorrow. That creative challenge is a pen that has like a stamp inside the back, and he had my logo on it, my first Printmysoul logo, and I would literally go and stamp people because I'm bonkers. That's how crazy I am. But I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about my business. So I think that also creating a stamp is a great idea for packaging as well. Where is the time gone? I've just seen the time. We just gotta hurry up and do some social media as well. Okay, but first thing first. So here, once I have my vector file, the first thing that I will do, and I've already done it here, but I want to show you how to do it, is to trace my font. So usually when I export, I never export the font as an editable font, because sometimes that can cause issues in the way that the font is read. So simply make sure to make a copy so you retain a copy of the actual editable font, and then select it and use the shortcut Shift Control O. There will be Shift Command O if you're working on a Mac machine in order to transform your font into an outline. So now this is a path, differently from the editable font. This is actually a shape. And we can do different things here. So the first one is to go ahead and select the first main version of the logo, and then use the artboard tool and click once on the outer shape to create an artboard that sits just on top of the actual font. And then maybe you can create different color version of it. So let's go ahead and create a copy of this. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a copy of this font and use the eyedropper tool to apply the color. Let's make sure that I select maybe one item at a time, so I don't get the rectangle in red as well, because in this case the red is going to have to be applied to the stroke. By the way, here, in order to maybe work a little bit faster, it will be the case to change this rectangle shape into a path as well, and we can do that simply by outlining the stroke. So you can see this is still a rectangle. We can see that the stroke is black. We can go ahead to Object, Path, Outline Stroke to transform that line into an actual stroke, and that will be so much better. Actually, I'm actually going to do the same with this version of the logo. I'm going to go ahead and transform the stroke into a path, and now we have this version in red, and we can use the Alt or Option key to create other version of whatever are the colors that we're going to be using for the brand. So we now have the brand in the original color, and then we have the other assets here ready to go. One in red, one in this like mint color, and one in the orange. Okay, so now that we've created this version of the logo, my next step will go into go to the library, create a new library. As you can see, I already created a library here called Slate 68. Otherwise, just simply click on create library and name your library. And you can do things here like, first of all, selecting the version of the logo and click on the plus icon, and then fill color to pick up the same color fill. In this case, I already have it. I just need to update to this little mint color here. And then you can also do things like dragging this version of the logo, which is a vector version of the logo. So Matt, just to reply to your question, you can go ahead and use the libraries as a way of sharing the Illustrator vector file with your client, with your team, with anybody that you want. And as you can see here, is just sitting there. Perhaps what I will have to do here is to simply, you know, maybe rename it. So I can call it Slate 68 logo. I don't remember what color was that. That was like red. And you can go ahead and do the same here with this version. So just go ahead, rename it Slate 68 logo mint, and go on. You can go ahead and rename everything you want. Here with the color code, you actually have the code of the color. But most importantly, if we jump back into Express to start creating, actually before we're doing that, let me just show you how you can quickly export it as well. Control Alt E is the way that we export it. You can select whatever you want. I'm not going to export of my, just different example. All I want is the final version of the logo. So range of artboard between 4 and 7. You can search the different folder that you like. In this case, I'm going to put it into my little design fix folder, so it's ready to go for our stationery brand. Here it is. So we can select the folder. Maybe we can create a subfolder as well, so everything goes in together. I'm going to call these logos, and we can here create PNG versions. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on add scale. But in this case, instead of adding a scale, we're going to add a different format. So I'm going to add a JPEG format. And perhaps if you want, you can also add a SVG, scalable vector graphic, which is opened. You can open as a vector file as well with Illustrator. So I'm going to go ahead and click on export artboard, and you will see that here we have the PNG folder of the logo. So basically this is for me ready to send it to Raju. We have the SVG version of the logo ready to go. We have the JPEG version of the logo, which of course have a flattened background. Remember, JPEG always have the white background. If you want to get rid of the white background, the way to go is the PNG that allows you to support transparency in your file. So this is pretty much ready for me to send to Raju. Couple extra things to do here is to start to create some social media. As you can see, I was playing around with something, but let's go ahead and create this from scratch. Let me just delete everything. So what I've done here is jumped into my express.adobe.com, and there are different things that you can do here. You can start with a custom size, so you can just go ahead and choose between logo, flyer, poster, Instagram post, story, Facebook, whatever you want is there at your disposal. Or you can just go ahead and search a template. In this case, I can search for stationery. Let's see what it comes up with. So here you can see already that we have, look at that, so beautiful, almost recall some of the illustration that we had there. Wedding stationery with an offer, kind of like this one. There are so many, they're so beautiful. And in particular, there are, I think, there are 136 templates for stationery. Here, what we can left to do, look at that, there's always a way of doing your invoices. That's so cool. I'm actually gonna advise that to some of my clients as well, because that's such a good way to like have an invoice that is branded as well. We can go ahead and choose any of the format we want. So we can have YouTube thumbnails, poster, Instagram stories, maybe start with an Instagram story. So with the filter, you can narrow down your little research for your brand, or maybe if you want to, you can, let's go ahead and look at a little bit more. Let's go back. Oops. Stationery, looks like I was clicking way too much. You can jump into different categories, maybe posters, or simply click on any of the templates that you like in particular. So I'm just gonna go ahead, this one with the bird really remind me of that design here, which really caught my eye from Raju. I think that was such a tasteful combination of colors, font, illustration, everything so beautiful in this monochrome. And we can definitely see this coming together also in our lovely Adobe Express. So here we have our luxury stationery. We're gonna get rid of this font because we want to make sure that we bring up our new logo. And how do we do that? Well, there are two different ways of doing that. We can either jump into photos and select upload photo, and here you can add whatever is the image that you have just downloaded and exported from Illustrator. You can simply go ahead and first of all find it. So we go, we have our episodes here, and PNG, because we want to make sure that we use one that has, of course, that you know, little transparent background there for us. So that's a way in which you can bring your logo. And by the way, maybe instead of the mint, maybe we should have tried with the blue. Maybe we can do that in just a second. I'll show you how. So it's looking like it's taking a second just to bring it in. Another way that you can do that is to use a library. Just let me go ahead and refresh because it's looking like it's taking a bit of time with my connection. I'm also streaming, so it's probably taking a little bit to have it. So here we have the logo. Here it is. Perfect. It sits beautifully anywhere. Perhaps we can also apply a filter to it. We can change the color and select a color from a current palette. Look how beautiful is that. In just a second, we changed and made our color coherent to the actual print. Another way in which you can bring this logo directly into the template is, perhaps let's go ahead and delete this one here, is to accessing the libraries directly in Express. So here you can go ahead and click on the library tool located on the left side of the screen. Remember, in Express, everything that is on the left side on the screen is a tool or an asset, and everything that is on the right is for you to customize, make changes, and change the format of your design, or resize it, or change the color, or maybe, here, for example, if you want to change the text, that is the place where you can edit all the properties. So all the tools and assets are on the left, and all the properties and effects sits on the right side. So the other way I was saying is just to bring in the libraries panel. As you can see, all the libraries, and Kladi loves to use libraries here, all the libraries are there available for you to use. We have our Slate 68 with all the logo. And look at that. What if I want to change this color of this mint color into like a blue? Well, really easy. All I have to do is to jump back in Illustrator, and I can simply double click on this standalone logo, which you will see will open up in a separate file. And from here, from the color picker, I can go ahead and change the color. Actually, let's do it even better. Let's go ahead and pick that image there. That's probably a good reason to isolate this so we don't get lost with all the other part of the image by creating a clipping mask. Remember, if you want to learn more about mood board and color inspiration, you can watch today replay for the creative challenge, and we can see if you can paste it here. Let's see if I actually copied it. Copy and paste. So we can literally, for some reason it's not pasting it. Why are you doing this? Let's go ahead and try to move it over here. I think my Illustrator is trying to tell me that I'm trying to do way too much. So we add that over there, but we work smarter. We always find ways of doing these things. So all I've done is to chuck that into my lovely libraries that come always so much to use. And then we can simply use the eyedropper tool to pick up the right color. Now I can delete this little image, simply press Command S, and look at that. This is a standalone file that is now being updated here inside the library. Let me see. Hopefully, I think I've deleted the actual image instead of deleting. Here we go. So this has been updated in the library in terms of the color, but the color that is here in the original file has not changed. This is because the item in the libraries are completely standalone files. Now, if we are lucky and we head back into our lovely Express, maybe we hit a little bit of a refresh. And again, be patient with my internet because I am doing many things here. I got 2 screens, I'm streaming, I'm working on many apps. You don't even know how many windows I've opened at this time. But if we go back into the libraries and maybe select the light library, which is Slate 68, we have the new updated version of the logo, which of course is blue, matches our lovely design, and we can go ahead and resize it as much as we want. Make sure that you use these little guides in order to meet the center. Here, of course, we have our text that can be updated at any time. We can have the phone number, whatever it is, and of course maybe the upcoming website, or maybe we can just put the Instagram. Let's go ahead if we see if we can use just the Instagram, because we know that Rajul is taking order just from his Instagram profile, so probably be a good idea here to just place his Instagram link. Here it is ready for everybody to place some order, and we can get rid of all this chunky part of the URL. We have more font that are there advised for us to try. I love this Mostra Nuova. I used to use that. That was another option that I had for the font, to be fair. Mostra Nuova, I absolutely love it. I used to use it very, very often. I actually love this Obliqua Sans. Let's go ahead and try to use that as well for the text. So it's Obliqua. Let's see if we can find it. Obliqua Sans. Here it is. So we tend to use just 2 different fonts, one for the actual brand and one for the font. And as I said before, oh my God, we got minute to go. I can't believe it. It would be nice also here to use fonts like also the lovely font that we were looking for before. Maybe we're gonna have to go ahead and browse it inside the library. As you can see here, you can choose more fonts and you can explore as many fonts as you want. But that was just to say that we can go ahead and bring in that you know, that feeling of titles and having that serif font like Rajul had done at the beginning. Let's see if I can quickly find one that I like that is like nice and serif. Let's see, this Scotch display. You know, here we go. So we can bring the serif font back, but not necessarily for the brand, because we really want to make sure that the brand stands out. And of course, we can duplicate and create many more designs based on this one. And of course, we can resize it and transform it right away into an Instagram story and much more. We can change the color and we can use other color for the background, remembering whatever were the color that we had for the brand. I think it was like something like a red or so on. But unfortunately, it is time to say goodbye. What is this project for Reels? So those were different Instagram. So that was an Instagram story. This is an Instagram post, but you can find so much more here on Express. You can go ahead and really explore it and use it for your business to elevate your brand and create so much material with it. Unfortunately, it is time to say goodbye. I cannot believe it. I will catch you tomorrow with another episode of the Creative Challenges. Then next week, Alex is going to be back. Don't forget to use the form to submit your business so we can help you for 1 hour thanks to Adobe Live. I will see you here very soon. It's time to say goodbye now. Ciao, ciao.